5 ways to handle people who don't respect you. Stoic philosophy. Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling smaller than when you entered it? That sinking feeling when someone speaks over you, dismisses your ideas, or treats you as if you're somehow less important. If you're human, the answer is almost certainly yes. Disrespect is one of the most challenging interpersonal experiences we face, and it's also one of the most universal. 2,000 years ago, the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote these words not out of pessimism, but preparation. He understood something profound. Disrespect is inevitable. The question isn't if we'll encounter it, but how we'll respond when we do. Today, we're exploring 5 powerful strategies from Stoic philosophy to handle disrespect with dignity, not just to endure these moments, but to transform them into opportunities for growth and self-mastery. These aren't quick tricks to win social confrontations. They're timeless principles that have guided some of history's most respected leaders through their most challenging interpersonal moments, and they can do the same for you. Strategy 1. Separate opinion from identity. The first Stoic principle for handling disrespect is perhaps the most fundamental, separating opinion from identity. Let me tell you a quick story. Last year, I gave a presentation at work that I'd spent weeks preparing. In the Q&A session, a colleague publicly criticized my approach, suggesting it was amateur and clearly hadn't been thought through. The room went silent. I felt my face flush, my heart race. In that moment, I remembered this Stoic principle. What this person thinks of me or my work is merely their opinion, not a fact about my worth. Their words reveal more about them than about me. The Stoics teach us that our true value comes from our character, our integrity, kindness, and wisdom, not from others' perceptions. When someone disrespects you, they're sharing an opinion, not revealing a truth. Epictetus, who was born a slave and became one of Rome's greatest philosophers, put it this way: this doesn't mean ignoring valid criticism. The Stoics valued growth and improvement, but they recognized the crucial difference between thoughtful feedback and disrespect, designed to diminish. So the next time someone treats you disrespectfully, remind yourself this is one opinion from one person on one day. It does not define me. Your worth isn't determined by their judgment. When faced with disrespect, try this mental exercise the Stoics practiced. Imagine their words as passing clouds while you remain the sky, vast, unchanging, and undisturbed by what merely passes through. Strategy 2. Practice the art of reframing. The second Stoic strategy for handling disrespect is mastering the art of reframing. This isn't about denying your feelings or pretending disrespect doesn't sting. It's about the uniquely human ability to interpret experiences in different ways. Consider this scenario. You share an idea in a meeting, and a colleague rolls their eyes dismissively. Most of us would automatically interpret this as, they think I'm stupid, or they don't value my contribution. But the Stoics would challenge us to consider alternative interpretations. Perhaps they're having a terrible day. Maybe they're insecure about their own contributions. Perhaps they didn't even notice they were doing it. Let me share a personal example. I once had a neighbor who consistently responded to my greetings with cold, one-word answers. For months, I interpreted this as disrespect and took it personally. Then I learned he was dealing with severe hearing loss and social anxiety. What I had framed as disrespect was actually his struggle to engage in casual conversation. My entire experience changed. Not because his behavior changed, but because my interpretation did. Initial frame, they're disrespecting me. Reframe, they may be fighting battles I know nothing about. Initial frame, they think my ideas are worthless. Reframe, they might feel threatened by different perspectives. Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, wrote, much of our suffering from disrespect comes not from the behavior itself, but from the story we tell about it. The next time you feel disrespected, pause and ask, what are 3 other possible interpretations of this behavior? This simple practice doesn't excuse genuinely disrespectful behavior, but it prevents you from being unnecessarily harmed by your interpretations. Strategy 3. Respond, don't react. Our third Stoic strategy is perhaps the most powerful in the moment. Learning to respond rather than react to disrespect. When someone disrespects us, our instinctive reaction is often immediate. We feel hurt, angry, defensive. We might lash out, withdraw, or replicate the disrespect. These reactions are automatic and rarely helpful. The Stoics practiced the art of the pause, that critical moment between feeling disrespected and choosing how to address it. Imagine you're in a conversation and someone cuts you off mid-sentence for the third time. Your heart rate increases. Your jaw tightens. You feel the urge to either interrupt them back or disengage completely. This is where Epictetus would advise. In that moment of pause, ask yourself, who do I want to be in this interaction? What response aligns with my values and self-respect? I once had a supervisor who would consistently make dismissive comments about my work in front of colleagues. Initially, I either became defensive or silently seethed. Neither approach helped the situation or my well-being. Eventually, I learned to pause when this happened. In that space, I could choose a response that maintained my dignity without escalating the situation. Sometimes that meant calmly asking, "Could you help me understand your concerns more specifically?" Other times, it meant addressing the pattern privately rather than reacting to each instance. Seek clarification. Could you explain what you mean by that? Name the pattern. I've noticed you often speak over me in meetings. Set a boundary. I'd appreciate if you would let me finish my thought. Strategic disengagement. Let's revisit this when we can discuss it more constructively. Practice the 5-second rule. When you feel disrespected, silently count to 5 before responding. This brief pause creates the space to choose a response aligned with your values rather than your immediate emotions. Strategy 4. Practice perspective taking. Our fourth Stoic strategy involves a radical shift in focus from how others are treating us to understanding why they might be behaving this way. This isn't about excusing bad behavior. It's about understanding that disrespectful behavior often stems from internal struggles that have nothing to do with you. Consider the colleague who dismisses your ideas in meetings. The Stoic approach would be to consider, perhaps they feel threatened because their position is insecure. Maybe they were raised in an environment where putting others down was the only way to be heard. Perhaps they're dealing with stresses you know nothing about. I remember being repeatedly belittled by a team member on a volunteer project. I was confused and hurt until I learned that they had recently been passed over for promotion and were questioning their own value. Their treatment of me wasn't about me at all. It was a projection of their insecurity. Seneca wrote, "Understanding the underlying causes of disrespect doesn't mean you must accept it." But this perspective shift accomplishes 2 important things. First, it depersonalizes the experience, reducing your suffering. Second, it creates space for a more effective response. From, "Why are they treating me this way?" to, "What might be happening in their world to cause this behavior?" When you recognize that disrespect often comes from pain, insecurity, or ignorance rather than malice, you can respond with appropriate boundaries while maintaining compassion. The next time someone treats you disrespectfully, try this Stoic exercise. Imagine their life circumstances and internal struggles that might contribute to this behavior. How might their past experiences or current challenges be influencing how they treat others? Strategy 5. Focus on your circle of influence. Our final Stoic strategy for handling disrespect focuses on directing your energy where it matters most.
Sex, and someone can understand always super, se some samite in to see.
Effectiveness. We have limited energy and attention. Where we direct these precious resources determines much of our experience and impact. When faced with disrespect, we often focus on things entirely outside our control, other people's opinions, past interactions, or trying to make everyone treat us well. This approach leads to frustration and powerlessness. Instead, the Stoics would advise focusing on what's within, your circle of influence, your responses, boundaries, the relationships you nurture, and the environments you choose to participate in. For years, I had a family member who would make subtly dismissive comments about my career choices at every gathering. I spent countless hours trying to change their perception, rehearsing arguments and feeling resentful. Eventually, I applied this Stoic principle and shifted my focus. I couldn't control their opinion, but I could set clear boundaries about what comments I would engage with, spend more time with family members who were supportive, build confidence through relationships where I was valued, focus on my own assessment of my choices rather than seeking external validation. This shift from trying to control others, respect to focusing on what I could influence, transformed my experience. The disrespect didn't disappear, but my suffering from it did. Your responses to disrespect, the boundaries you establish, the relationships you prioritize, the environments you choose, your own self-respect and values. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, make a list of aspects related to being respected that are within your control, influence, or concern. Focus your energy exclusively on the first two categories. For 1 week, practice consciously redirecting your attention when you catch yourself focusing on things outside your influence. Conclusion. As we've explored these 5 Stoic strategies for handling disrespect, you might notice a common thread. They all focus on strengthening your internal fortress rather than controlling external circumstances. Separate opinion from identity. Practice the art of reframing. Respond, don't react. Practice perspective taking. Focus on your circle of influence. The ultimate Stoic. Insight about disrespect might be this. True respect begins with self-respect. When your sense of worth comes from within, from your character, values, and actions, others' disrespect loses much of its power to disturb you. This doesn't mean isolating yourself or becoming indifferent to how you're treated. The Stoics valued meaningful relationships and community, but they recognized that basing your worth on universal respect is a recipe for suffering. People will not always treat you with the respect you deserve, but with these Stoic practices, you can respond in ways that maintain your dignity, peace of mind, and effectiveness, regardless of others' behavior. Which of these strategies resonated most with you? Share in the comments below how you might apply it in your life. And if you found value in these timeless principles, consider subscribing for more practical wisdom from ancient philosophy. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that matters. The disrespect may be inevitable. How you handle it is your choice.